I've been to a lot of cold ball games, but I don't believe I've ever been to oh, sad.
Saturday. I'd hate to have been out there Saturday.
It started at 3 o'clock. I just don't, I stand just as close to freezing. I'm thinking about it.
We all in Florida.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Well, that's further south, but it ain't too far south.
Well, you know, it's right there in Gulf Breeze, it's always flowing off.
Yeah.
But we were up there on 9 Mile Road. It's a big park.
I know
First time
we've
we've ever been there. Yeah. I just stayed for one game. They didn't finish by 7 o'clock at night.
We were at West Florida now.
work session. As we get in, the first thing I know, kind of last minute, and we don't really have it on the agenda here, but I'm going to ask, we have representatives for FirstNet, who provides, it is a first responder communication service, and we'll give them about 5 minutes to explain. It may be something you might want to consider going to the police department, fire department, public works.
So I appreciate y'all having me here for your meeting. I won't take up too much of your time. I don't know if y'all have heard of FirstNet or not, or know anything about it. FirstNet is the government-run cell phone service that's exclusively offered to first responders and municipalities and people where communication is obviously very, very important. FirstNet came into inception right after 9/11. So obviously we know how bad 9/11 was, but one of the issues that first responders had, not only in New York, but all across the country, was they couldn't make phone calls because everybody had the network tied up and everybody was making phone calls. So first responders had a hard time, being able to communicate. So the government came along and they said, we're going to develop a network that's exclusively for first responders where communication is obviously very important, where we won't have this issue again. So I do want to address the elephant in the room of, it says built with AT&T. I do want to specify that it is not AT&T service. The only thing that AT&T did was build the infrastructure and the towers based on the government's specifications and regulations. Because it's the government, they don't have the infrastructure to build cell towers, infrastructure. They sent out a contract and the bid system, and AT&T just won that contract. But again, does not run on AT&T towers, not the service, not anything is run by AT&T other than just setting it up. Basically, that's all it is. FirstNet launched in 2017. When it launched, it went out to all of your federal government. So anybody with an acronym is on FirstNet: FBI, Secret Service, CIA, Homeland Security, you name it, they're on it. It's rolled out to all of your state departments. So ALEA, all of your state troopers, your game wardens, they are currently on FirstNet. Governor Ivy, her phone that she has in Montgomery is a FirstNet device. And even Monroe County is also on FirstNet. I would say probably 75 to 80% of the state is on FirstNet at some capacity or another, whether it is a county or a local municipality, they're on it. Some of the benefits of FirstNet is it is a stronger cell phone service, so it typically runs faster than any of your current providers, Verizon or AT&T or anything like that. There are no contracts with FirstNet, so if you did want to go to FirstNet, have it for as long as you want to, and you can cancel it at any time with no early termination fees. And because this is a government-run thing, if you are under a current contract with your current provider, Verizon or whatever, by swapping to FirstNet, you are not subject to any early termination fees with your current provider. The data is unthrottled, unlimited data, so you can stream, do whatever you want to, as much as you want to, and the service will never slow down. If you are in an area that is pretty high traffic, like if you go to Talladega, Bryant Denny, doing hair or whatever, and you're around 100,000 people who are streaming, taking pictures, trying to make phone calls and text messages, you will always be able to be able to communicate. That is the whole point behind FirstNet. Additionally, with that, there are some monetary incentives by swapping to FirstNet. So for every smartphone that you bring over, you'll receive a $200 basically tax credit or bill credit on with your account. Pretty much it ends up being around 3 to 4 months worth of free service that you don't have to pay for on that. Additionally, with that, there are your device lists down here. They cost $1. You can get any phone that you want to, but typically, like if you wanted an iPhone 12 or a Samsung or any of those phones, they cost $1. That's not an installment plan. That's here's $1, here's your device. You can run almost any kind of data on it. Your computers, MiFi units, jetpacks, whatever you want to, can be on FirstNet. And it's not just for, obviously, the police department, but anybody who has a city-issued device or phone can also be eligible for FirstNet. Street department, water department, mayor, city council, whoever might have a city-issued phone is eligible for FirstNet.
One question.
Yes,
Can you purchase the iPad on this also?
Yes, sir. You can purchase iPads on there, and depending on how many you want, I can give you kind of special quotes on those.
Okay.
But I do know just with everything as it is right now, I do know iPhone or iPads are the one thing that we kind of have on back order right now. But if you have your own iPads, they will also work. So if you do have the latest and greatest phone, and you just want to keep it, that your device will work on the FirstNet platform as well. And with FirstNet, last thing I'll say is we do offer what we call a live demo with FirstNet. So if you don't want to commit to swapping everybody over, what a lot of places do is they'll pick up maybe 10 devices, assortment of iPhones and data devices, and they'll run it for 30 days. If you like the service and if it does what you want it to do, great, you can keep it. We can talk about implementing the rest of moving everybody over. But if it doesn't do what you want it to do, then you can, terminate the service, and there's no financial obligation to do it. You don't have to pay anything. It's a demo. You can try it out. You can keep your same numbers. A lot of people ask that. If you do have people who have contacts and stuff, you can keep your same number. That's not an issue.
Is this a private company?
It's run by the federal government.
It's a nonprofit basically, or we say?
I mean, it's the federal government regulated it, and AT&T, we just kind of facilitated. We built
Okay,
the power.
When you were doing all your disclaimer by AT&T, but your cards with AT&T on.
Yes, sir. I work for AT&T. So like I said, the government, the towers and the network is built, AT&T built the towers, but based on the government's regulations and specifications. If you ever look at a cell phone tower that's out there, you've got, the different rings that are on there. FirstNet has a completely different tower on it. The only thing because it's the government, they don't have the infrastructure to build towers and stuff. We build them based on the government
But
specifications.
then AT&T profit from the sale of this, correct? Are there any other company provide a similar service?
You can be on, so Verizon obviously offers a government rates, but it's still on Verizon towers and stuff. This is the only one that is exclusively that only y'all can be on this tower.
Right. Well, we kind of ran into this with public safety. The way it is that the public does not have access to FirstNet. It is only first responders.
We want to be like what Alabama Power did with developing their towers, and it was going to be for their companies and their employees, and all of a sudden everybody.
No, sir. No. This is only
I mean,
for.
that's what happened with them. That's the way it was designed, the way it was paid for. All this, they had phone service, power service, going to pay for the infrastructure and then.
Yes.
Basically, this is government. They just contract with AT&T to.
Yeah, but that was the same thing, Alabama Power's thing, same situation. It was just for Alabama Power set up and then a lot of going public, this and it all up.
Yeah, that was Southern.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with.
Everybody was sold that same bill of goods for that.
I went through that. I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
The response time for FirstNet is a lot quicker. So let's say you do have a tornado, you do have a hurricane, whatever, and it knocks towers down by law. FirstNet has to be the first tower that gets rebuilt or put back up. And if there is some kind of natural disaster, something does happen, by law, we're required to get out. It's called a CAL, which is basically the cellular and wheels out within like 4 to 8 hours of some kind of disaster, assuming that the roads are, accessible. So the first line of communication that needs to be put back up is FirstNet.
It is totally by tower transmission, not satellite.
Correct. Is that
Where the closest tower is.
There's one, I looked at the map there, y'all got about 4 or 5 towers in y'all's area. And I do know there's one southwest up here, I think is the closest on here, just from like where I pinged our location. Y'all got about 5 within a couple miles.
Are there any good spots?
There was one, let me grab my computer and I'll show you real quick. There was one little spot that I saw that could be a little bit of an issue. And I will say, FirstNet is the only service that no matter what, it will get better over time. Because if you think about it, if you've got a 10, 15 mile stretch of land and you've only got 5, 10 people that live on it, it doesn't make financial sense for Verizon or AT&T or whoever to build a $500,000 tower there for 5 or 6 people on it. Well, FirstNet's not looking at subscribers to be on this platform. They're looking at how many people drive down that road, how many times, is there an accident? If something happens, they have to get somebody out there. So FirstNet is the only service that has to get better every year. Again, because it's contracted by us. If we don't do that, then we'll lose that contract. And it's a 25-year contract that we got awarded. We don't want to lose it. So you have really good service. The only spot that is a little bit low is out in Gainestown area. It's a little bit, I guess, southwest from here. That's about the only area that I see that could be a slight issue, but even then you've got service, but it's just not like full bars, it might be 2 or 3 bars. And again, Monroe County is on FirstNet. So, and the state troopers, they're all on FirstNet. This is obviously by no means a requirement by anybody, but if it wasn't better service than what's available, then they wouldn't be on it. And again, with the financial incentives on it, I think the last number I've spoken with everybody, if everybody who had a department issued phone went to FirstNet, y'all would probably receive somewhere around the area of $10,000 to $15,000 worth of basically free service.
Thank you, Mr. Ross.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, next item for our work session is Deborah the Free to Fly Redemption Freedom Festival.
I'm here to represent the Free to Fly. It's a concert. It's going to be May the 13th. All proceeds will go to the Meal Place to help with the building and everything they need for that, which I think everybody's pretty well familiar with it. It will be a home that will be enough room for 16 girls between 6 and 19 that has been rescued in traffic. And what we're asking to do is we're going to have just food vendors, and there's going to be maybe 6 to 7 of them there that night to sell food to people. And all their proceeds, they're being charged a fee for being there and a certain amount of what they make to go towards Camille Place. And we were asking if the sales tax and the business license for the vendors could be waived for that night. Camille Place is a nonprofit organization and everything. We were wondering if we could do that, get that approved for it. And I believe Chuck had talked to Chief about after hours officers to help with security that night. So we will have security. We also have the rescue squad out there too with us. And we'll be very well secured. They will not be allowed to stay up on top where the parking lot is. They will be down the football field where the concert is. The concert is Chris McDaniel Ministry that will be here. The doors open at 5 and the concert starts at 7. And we're looking for, hope to have a good crowd. Don't know how many, which, it's hard to tell. And we will have somebody there parking people on things like this. And that's what we're asking for.
Let's see, what was the date on that again?
May the 13th. You won't be here. I already know. We wanted you to welcome everybody, but you won't be there. You'll be in, I think, Birmingham. Montgomery. Tuscaloosa.
Don't hold that again.
Do what?
Don't hold me being Tuscaloosa again.
Hey, roll tide. I'm all for Tuscaloosa.
We have any questions for Ms. Lee? All right, there being none, I have on the agenda also for Ms. Anne Marie Bryant. We talked about some downtown development with Main Street.
As a capital. Let me switch that. I don't know. As y'all know, we received an AARP grant for this year, for last year for 2021. And with it, we've had some challenges getting some of the equipment, which is supposed to be delivered. So I had made the decision, since we had not completed our grant, that it would probably not be a good idea to apply again this year. And then I got asked to be part of the AARP Rural Labs. And as it turns out, they requested everybody with Rural Labs to go ahead and apply, and they would give our grants preference. So this grant has to be completed by the 22nd, which is next week. And so I got our committees together, and the decision that we made to apply for is to add 6 water bottle filling stations with water fountains across 3 in the downtown and 3 out, like we did with the benches and the trash cans and moving everything out with the last AARP grant, and then to add a story walk downtown. Well, of course, these water bottle refilling stations are expensive, and the mayor and I spoke about it, and we discussed the possible use of part of the American Rescue Funds for this to supplement this grant. And it would support tourism, but it also, these will support the health and well-being of our community, the AARP Aging in Place, the AL Pro Health Grant that we're currently in year 4 of, and then the Monroeville the Beautiful project in hopes of reducing some of the waste. So I'm going to show y'all, I had numerous quotes. I only spoke with the mayor about one of them today. But this is a stack of them. This top one would come from Wolseley, I always mispronounce that. And it was the best quote. It was the only one I got a full quote from because their pricing was so much better. The AARP grant, the max we can apply for is $25,000. It's usually within these grants, not a good idea to apply for the full amount. Last year we got $21,900. But if we add this and the story walk, we're looking at about $2,400 with installation and everything. So the mayor and I discussed the possibility of $18,000 from ARPA funds, which will cover 3 of these water bottle refilling stations. They are freeze resistant. There are different designs in there, but the quote from Wolseley is the first one. They can get up to $8,000 a piece. And so we were taking $5,000. And this is just the information on the story walk that will be in the grant.
I did go back and I checked with Mr. Scott, and ARP funds can be utilized for this. And the way we would do it, we do it like with the museum and others, we would do a self-recipient agreement. So to Main Street, in order we would dispense the funds to them under the self-recipient agreement, and then Main Street would be responsible for the expenditures of the money.
That's the whole first quote. That's the whole first quote. So that's how
Where would you get your water storage from?
That's something the mayor and I discussed. We would like to put one at the water board. And I am going to talk to them later this week about it. And then one at City Hall and possibly one at the library, but the rest would be in the park since they would all be on city land. And you'll notice on the Wellesley grant, there is tax, and on the information on the story walk, their tax. On both of those, because we are a 501c6, we did discuss, I've discussed with AARP, since the city will actually own these once the grant is finished, like the city will own all the furniture. They will allow us to bill through the city, Main Street to pay the bill, and for no tax to be charged, and that will reduce some of the costs by about $2,000 on water filling stations and closer to $1,100 on the story wall project.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Bryant? Any discussion? All right. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, the next item on here to consider, we have a resolution authorizing and approving the execution of a contract with Bank South Equipment Finance, which is a division of Cadence Bank. And this is in regards to the street sweep. And as I understand it, I think Mike has a little bit more detail. It was bought off a state contract, and the financing was off state contract also.
It's actually the JNPA, national, it's bought off the national bid list. And they actually bid out the financing and all.
Right, so which means at the end of 2 years, we can turn it back in, and they will, the vendor here buys the sweeper, and we
Yes.
get another.
Yes, sir.
And all of the maintenance is, general maintenance is included on this, but there are supplies such as brooms and stuff that we would have to buy.
I was wondering if we approved to buy a sweep, we're not approving to buy one, approving to lease one, basically.
Yeah, at least.
And now, what comparison is this to what we, been setting aside for renting or having the service done?
Well, now, the thing about it, we would have, now we're gonna have to go into a contract if we want to stay with American Sweeper. But they so busy right now that I don't know if they could take any anymore. That's the reason I hadn't been able to get them down here like we used to. But now we were spending a little less than 15,000 a year, but now we wasn't sweeping everything all the time. This way with this sweeper, we'll be able to keep the streets swept all the time.
How much is that gonna cost?
About 36,000 a year. Yeah, about 36,000 a year. Now, at the end of the 2-year contract, what they do, Ingram Equipment, send the finance company a check for 97,000, and they'll take the machine up there, and then they'll bring us a new one, and everything will be redone again. And but if we want to opt out of it, we can. Right now, we're only committing to 2 years on the lease.
That's budgeted out.
Yes. But it's gonna cost twice as much. Other contract, right? Well, the thing about it, if we get them down here to sweep as much as we need them to, your contract's probably gonna be $30,000 or $40,000 a year. See, we just get them down here 2 or 3 times a year for that 15 grand, a little less than 15 grand. But the thing about it, we get them down here to sweep, and we have a storm the next week, it needs sweeping again. And also the buildup on the coming off the roads and stuff, it'll help us out. That's what's stopping a lot of these storm drains up. You know, it's increasing the chance of storm drains not keeping the streets cleaner.
Are you gonna have with the present manpower? Are you gonna have the manpower running as much as you need to?
Oh, yes, sir. I'll probably run it some too.
You'll be sweeping probably what, 8 or 10 times more than you are
Yes,
now.
sir.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we haven't had any this year.
And this way we'll be able to sweep when we want to. We won't have to depend on somebody else to schedule something. And, you know, we'll be able to get it better. And also we'll be able to get some of these streets that would normally, you know, that they don't get. They only get what's that curb and gutter when they come down here. That don't include like the city hall parking lot and, you know, other parking lots we have. So see, we'll be able to catch parking lots and everything else, even some of the streets that are not curved and gutter, but sometimes they need to be run down, you know, to keep the dirt and grass and stuff from growing over the edges of it.
And in this contract, the, vendor provides all this general maintenance.
Yes,
We're responsible for like the rooms and stuff like that.
Yes. we're responsible for the actual warehousing zone. And like if something was to happen, like a window gets busted out or something, you know, our insurance, you know, will take over on that.
Now, any more questions? Or- Okay. The next item on the agenda is to set a public hearing for April 5th, 2022 at 4:50 p.m. And this is a request from,
Ms. China Point,
and this is for the Mockingbird,
the Harper Lee birthday celebration,
the Harper Lee birthday celebration. I
and
think
it'll have a play meeting.
right, and, they want to, is it serving or selling now?
They'll be serving the alcohol, it's an alcohol license for a special event, just like we do with the others. So they'll basically be doing what the community has to, when we have people that come in there and they serve the alcohol, but they have to go through the city to get that special event alcohol license.
So, do you have any questions, concerns in it? All right. Then we have a request, I think it's from Ms. Carol Banks, to waive the fees associated with the setup of the game fair scheduled to be in Monroeville on April 12th and 16th. And this is a fundraiser for the PTO, the Monroe County High School. Okay. And they're requesting to,
Just the waiver of the fees set up with, for, the setup of the fair.
associated with the setup of the James Game Fair include scheduled to be in Monroe. This is something they've done before, so. All right, and then the next item on the agenda would be the Monroe County Chamber of Commerce request to hold 5 summer drive-in movies at the Old Bench Fair House lot. It's on Thursday nights beginning at dusk on June 2nd, 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th. And I think we've done this before, so. And then we also have a request to waive fees for the sales tax and business license for food vendors for free to fly Redemption Freedom Festival event, Banquet Meal Place at Monroe County High School on May 13th, which is what Anthony just spoke of. Okay. Then we have the education assistance policy to come up at this meeting. I think we provided a copy to everybody at the last meeting. You got any questions about that or? revisions or? Okay. Next item would be a request from Hippie for a refund for the community house. And that came about because it says that due to COVID, they were not able to go through and make all of the arrangements in advance to get the, let's see, it says we have reserved it for April 7th through 9th, 2022 for the barbecue bash, which was canceled in January due to uncertainty and COVID numbers. She says the event takes a huge amount of planning ahead of time, including contacting the cook teams, judges, volunteers, mailing corporate sponsor packages, booking the catering and entertainment for the VIP party and kids zone. We cannot wait till just a few weeks out to notify everyone involved. So they're requesting a refund of, how much was it? $625. So, we have any discussion, I don't have policy. That's why I'm telling you, that's why I was asking about. I think we have a refund request for.
Is this the first request?
This is their first request, but they already used it there one time, and so that's why they had to write a letter to see if they could get the refund.
Moved it from last year.
To this year due to COVID.
That's the same situation we just dealt with last time, right?
Same situation. Because it was previously the 8th through the 10th, and then she had rented out the 9th through the 10th, and that was 2021. And then they moved it to this year for the 7th of April through the 9th, 2022.
Any further discussion, questions? Yes.
Mayor, I'm on the Hickey board. And I think as our letter said, the challenge that we've got is this is not something that you can do in 2 weeks. This is a 6 month, 8 month lead time. That's why we requested that. I'm sure the board would be happy. I mean, our intent is to have the event next year, assuming COVID's gone. So again, that would be, we could kick the can down the road another year. It's usually that first full weekend of April. I think the board would be happy with that. But that's the reason I'm making the request now, because it had to be postponed last year because of COVID. And that's where, so just, it's something the council grappling with, but it is it's a big fundraiser, and I mean, everybody knows what it does, and the community provides, serves free of charge to, 3 at-risk 3 to 5 year olds. But it is a worthwhile endeavor. So it's not, it is a fundraiser, but that money goes back.
When we made that decision, y'all on board too, when we made that decision, the numbers were so high and all of that. We just didn't feel it was safe to have it with that many people.
And you're dealing with food vendors, even out samples and all that.
Be within the policy to allow them to extend it to next year.
Do that, but you have to go back and let the others extend in too. Because y'all denied the other one from extending.
Is the others a nonprofit and does what this one does?
We don't do it based upon.
Unfortunately, it does should make a difference.
The other one, that was a request for a refund or request for extension.
They just wanted to extend it to another date. But the council said no.
They already second time also.
Yes.
That's the issue, I think, unfortunately, will be here. It's not first time change, second time.
Well, you know, I understand there's a policy, but, you know, circumstances now are a little bit different than they have ever been before. And my vote would be to let both extend. I mean, I know policies are policies. I agree with having a set policy, but sometimes, you know, circumstances, you know, that would be my suggestion.
Unfortunately, this will not be the only two that's gonna fall.
Well,
I'm saying unfortunately in all cases, unfortunately, we'll be on.
I understand. And I know it's a policy, but, you know, we have, you know, I think we're getting to the point now. I mean, where, what we've got like one case, I haven't seen the numbers for today. There was like one case yesterday, I think, in the past 7 days. So I think going forward, things are gonna be a little bit different than they have been. You know, I mean, we were over 700 when a lot of people were thinking about doing that. And, you know, I understand it's policy, but, you know.
So what I understand you saying, Councilman Hines, is for the people who have reserves, such as this case, to allow them to reserve the time next year without refunding the 625, they use that for reserve next year. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, this one and the last, one, we both, that we had, those two,
Okay.
that's my suggestion. I mean, I don't think you do one without doing the other. We gotta do it, gotta keep the playing field as level as we can. I know we may be tilting it a little bit with these two, but still, I think circumstances.
Change the policy for the whole policy.
Let me get some clarification. So the policy says if somebody else rents for that date, then they get a refund.
Yes.
Okay. If nobody rents for that date,
And then we,
But now, this one is April, right?
Yeah.
I
This
mean,
is an April.
so the odds of it written,
The other one was there was a lot of
is slim,
opportunity.
you know, really. I think you got to treat them both the same way.
No, I mean, you're being politically correct, is what you're trying to be right now. Not necessarily logically what we should do as a business.
Well, you know, fortunately or unfortunately, this ain't a business. It is. I mean, I wish you were sometime.
so if y'all do change the policy, that'll help if somebody else called in that wanted to in the past, because I can't remember all that have come in to move it. But I'm pretty sure if they hear it on here, then they're gonna want to move it.
This is not the only two that's going to involve.
Because it wasn't the only two.
Was the other party a nonprofit?
No, but that's not in the policy.
Well, maybe we could look at some type of, we can legally donate money to, if you was to donate some money, and that back up for the loss of the laws. That would break the policy.
Would it be just for nonprofit?
Well, I'm saying keep the policy like it is, but in this case, on a case by case basis, we can decide if we want to make a donation to, if it's legal, certain
but I
nonprofit.
can, it's possible that will fall under those ARP guidelines. then we'll, if that's the case, I'm quite sure it'll probably take us up to 6 agreement. In order to do that, so I can go back and I can say that this would be COVID related. That's all it's going to be up to God.
Doing a donation in lieu of a refund. Maybe for a slightly different amount. That'd be good.
I can check.
Okay. So we'll get a legality in this.
At this point in time, it's not gonna make much difference in one way or the other. It's not gonna help them if we decide an hour later.
Right.
The funds have already been transferred.
Okay. Next item to come up is compensation for Eric Simon and Brian House for vehicle equipment installs and removal. This is on the new police vehicles that we just, purchased and threw on the road, and I think it's the same thing that we've done before. The cost on it was
I think the total is 125. For each, 125 for each.
their total cost.
1250.
Well,
Yeah.
Each.
okay, sorry, I'm missing a number.
Yeah, that's all.
Sorry.
So that was better than us having to take it over to the place in Thomasville. To swap all that stuff over. Okay. Then we have some new hires. The new hire is Tyler Lambert as a firefighter recruit. Chief Black,
Yes,
that's
sir.
the recommendation.
Yes, sir. He will be filling the position of Brandon Bland that was recruited that left.
Okay, and then we have a new hire for Brandon Barber, firefighter 2.
Yes, and he will be filling the position of Shane Kane, that was an engineer that resigned.
Also, that one that I put up there for you, is that Eric McKenzie promoted.
Yeah, that's the one that I told you about yesterday that I was waiting on verification from the fire college. I finally got it this afternoon, but I just remembered I didn't submit a letter with it, like you wanted.
So he'll be promoted to from firefighter engineer to lieutenant.
Mr. Garber going to continue working in that horse.
His plan will be here only. He lives in Frisco City.
Then, our next item is the extension of George Dean's probationary period until May 31st, 2022. I can want to address that.
He hadn't fulfilled all his obligations. His 6 month probation, he still don't have the applicator's license. And, he still needs to get a little more training on his work, but now, he should be able to get his license by the 31st of May.
There also, we have on here to move Mr. Reggie Lafitte from equipment operator 1 back to laborer.
He, told me Monday morning that he'd rather go back to the labor. He didn't want the equipment operator position.
And then we have the request for outside employment for Ms. Melissa Kostaki. Okay, which says that she'll be working on the weekends and job not interfere with her employment with the city of Monroeville. Okay, I think that's everything that we have to address at council meeting. I do have an announcement to make. I'm very pleased to advise you that Congressman Jerry Carl called me today and said that the city of Monroeville was awarded $125,000 for the purpose of installing cameras in our city. So that should enable us to move forward with being able to address some traffic safety issues and other problem areas in the city. So I'm very thankful. I'm gonna send a letter to Congressman Carl, thanking him for that. That's one area we can move forward with, make the city safe. All right. Well, let's see. I think that's everything. Is there anything else? Okay. All right.
We're gonna talk about these quotes before I can.
No, we didn't, but I think we do need to. We had a quote that came in to talk about the installation of the microphones, the speakers, and the television sets. I think it needs to be a little bit more detailed, which I would ask him to do because the quote is what, $14,000. Yeah, I think we need to go back and needs to provide a little bit more detail into it, itemize it.
And that would be eligible for code funds.
Yes, sir. That's what Mr. Scott said, that we would be able to pay for that with COVID funds. So, but again, I think he would need a little bit more detailed information. On that. Also, I think we had information where we were talking about the iPad. And it was a quote from Verizon for them. I don't know what the turnaround time on it would be, but, and the airtime and everything on it. Looks like the cost on it that they're for here is $899.99. And based on presentation by FirstNet, we could do better than that. So,
For iPads,
yes,
yeah, I think we can for iPad, depending on which iPad you want. I think I'm 90% sure I can be $899 for iPad.
okay. And then I think service is like $39.99 per month each. And that's so that you have internet service on it. If you don't want internet service and you use Wi-Fi, I know you use Wi-Fi here at City Hall, I don't know about at home, but just whichever way you guys want to go, you get internet service on is $39.99 per month per unit.
We could do it on Wi-Fi, it sure would be less expensive. Everybody, you got Wi-Fi at home. You've got it.
Okay. Okay. All right. And then we were getting the stands to put here. So you can, scroll through it, whatever you need to do. And also I talked to them, I was trying to get a quote so we could run the electrical outlet under here, you can put this stuff in. All right. Well, that's pretty much all I got. Ms. Thompson.
Mayor, I was wondering if you could, and I don't know if this is legally possible, so I'm gonna ask you, can you all go ahead and set a date today for next meeting for a public hearing for Harrigan to consider a tax rebate abatement? The next meeting. Normally it's on the agenda, the only difference is it's not on the agenda this time.
Okay.
To ask you to set the public hearing.
Okay. So that would be
Will you have,
answer for,
will you have 2 weeks to run it?
you do it April 5th, that'll be the 2 weeks.
We'll have to get it in the paper tomorrow.
Yeah, it has to be tomorrow that we get it in the paper. If y'all vote for it today, then they can run. It'll be a flat fee.
There's tax abatement. Is it one of these that we can talk about, or?
We can, because at this point in time, because it has to be public, we, for it to be
Okay. So which one is it?
It's Harrigan Lumber.
Harrigan Lumber, the one that we talked about before? Okay.
So you all have a public hearing to set for, the Harper, and it's gonna be at 4:50. What time would you like to take that? And then you can motion on it and get into the regular.
I shouldn't think it's big. We can set it up at 4:45.
4:45?
Shouldn't take that long.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Okay. Anything, any other items? Yeah.
You're gonna have to figure out how to look at your time a little better. I am leaving another job to come here, and then you're sitting here half hour waiting on this week. That was good, but I think we need to do.
I would entertain a motion to make it.
I can visualize.
I want to.
I put 100.
Because I'm waiting for you.
Have you already relaxed it? You never said you did relax it.
This can't.
I guess we could apply it to all of them.
But the already, where y'all voted, and if they're in that area, they could walk around without that.
No, I don't have a problem with that. The reason I said make it honest, you have some.
Right thing. Probably first.
I'm gonna keep all this.
Like, sure, yeah.
That's the real good thing.
I know. It's important together. It's, they see agency and they don't like it. They see no.
I'll be honest, I was 50.
I will say that. I would be like, your reps, I would be your local rep. If you have a break, whatever. Tech support or whatever, and person that, like, customer service number, they are. It will be. I can pretty much guarantee you it will be cheaper than what you're spending with Verizon. The iPad, I can go and tell you, an iPad. I can get it for $350. For a new iPad. And if you needed, I could probably get it for cheaper depending on how many, you need. I can go in Birmingham area and we were able to get the city of Chelsea iPads for $1. So depending on how many you need, I can probably put you iPads for substantially cheaper than.
No, not no more. Not no more. We have back surgery.
And like I said, the first thing you can do is a lot of demo, you can try it for 30 days, like great, if not,
Put them up there.
no financial obligation.
Yeah.
First, it's like the government cell phone service. It's offered for like first responders.
Yeah.
Stuff like Monroe is
Not
also
something
first
catch
net.
up with.
It's cheaper service, it's better service.
Yeah, that started,
Bad taste in the mouth of Alabama.
No, I understand. I get that.
That was a chef.
Well, so, this, I'll say this, power company, that cell phone service is not their main, you know what I mean? Like, they're trying to get power and stuff. This is like, that's all to communications.
Yeah, that's a big.
There will be no scenario where like civilians will be on the first net platform. It's strictly-
think about this. We're a good job.
She's the one.
Yeah, we got on. We have not pressed the board on that. Finished project. We have run her, they have not pressed. Hopefully next week, but not. Yeah. It should have been 3 weeks ago, trying, we were weeks late on that. Well, finally going to 2 full shifts and all, but like, we should run 300 people. 140 yesterday. It would kind of nail it off a little bit. Whether it's going to get places that got scared again. Some of the other things like I used to see what say I sell there. They call random price. Hey, hold on, but yeah. Unfortunately, we're business. Cost. You can turn around and manufacture a car and you say it to them. People want to buy it, find out. Ours is so much similar supply and demand item that just like chips, they pay a certain amount of chips. Where you gonna go with them? They want to buy them. There's no, they give you a price, you either call them, prove money in them, don't run. It's, well, they're really, That's right.
chicken, eggs.
Yeah, this thing. Yeah, I had a lot of experience. Well, I would get me out competition. And they should public comment. Customers developed it for a different amount of power. Your power bill, part of your power bill. Put that in. Then they turn around and offer it to everybody in the world, and didn't do a good job of it to everybody in the world. But at the time, it was an island that worked so much better than everything else, because it had the coverage, no one else had. So they didn't have power all around. I can understand that. Then he kept on saying, not, he can't cost us out, there's no way associated with it. Business of selling service. Distribution. I understand what it is.
This weather has just been so icky today. I know. That's what's going on. My hair doesn't recognize the fact that it's out. It's just, my hair gets real. Especially it's gray. It's real wiry. When I brush it all out.
I don't understand why we're not sad like that. I'm starting. But them satellites, I've never been anywhere. Now, of course, they just.
Well, I'm fortunate. I'm
Oh, big, gone. February this year, you don't have that. What problem? You're turn by turn, you're emergency, they're ignorant, whatever. He must be Russian. They must have all these days.
The individual bears. Everybody that's ever come here.
Phone service and. I'm kidding, you know, get on this. Time, if you can, don't expect 3 more meetings for half hour. Like today, I'm gonna have to go back tonight because I was hurt.
The farmers like to.
You get a little. There may be days we need all that.
Sunday.
But if you go by 5 minutes, you gotta be able to figure it out. If you do a little bit, I appreciate it. And sometimes it'll make a difference, like they will. We're trying to run.
Yeah.
And I got a last guy, and a guy that replaced me 2 weeks ago. We're supposed to get trained. And do the other job. Westfield actually trained him. One. like it's never did with COVID, and it just got hit by the TV calling. The report did call in, I know that nothing happened there. I'm still even, either mayor, I mean, either June or July this year. I've got, they got, and yesterday they gave me another person to try training something for. Anyway, okay. Okay. We just put it in the time. It can get Mike squall. Hey, two chiefs are conspiring here.
When she's not going to somebody donates. She made a dress and suit jacket, scarf, you know, and she said it's just about the entire time, and she said, wow. So she's made.
So what is their hour?
So you shall come in about 9. Do you love us, you know, more coming in lunch.
So it's every day.
People leave.
They just told me to what the hell.
If she'll find something, some way to use it. Like, at Christmas, they did the Christmas tree. They had, sold in all of the flowers, like the little board that they had in the
If they had done.
a little 3-tier, like for Christmas. They take all kinds of things. Don't throw away stuff that you've been crafting with, give it to the senior center. They had to use this. Well, like I said, don't throw any of it.
I did.
It's right there.
I hear bullets flying.
Material.
I'm not gonna ask any questions. I'm not gonna give you. I understand.
11 seconds.
I heard it. Yeah, so,
Seems like an eternity.
yeah. It's got damn.
And they'll work on
We are
it.
not just.
They pass it on to other people too. And they probably got a whole.
If we have a couple of good things. Let's pull that. Okay, all right. 6 hours, day and night. It gives opportunity. Pile it on, grow, and then trying to get that, that was, now we have a problem. Have a problem with it too. So we had a trade baby on there. And I wish you had more. I forgot all about them. Yeah, see Paul still here. Yeah, I plan on having to preach. I appreciate it. Give me a second. I'm with Mike.
Oh, look at you.
You know, that's the once in your life.
Oh,
Now we're here.
but we're gonna straighten that out.
Oh, Well, here, you just cut, use the limbs on. Joe, did you on by? If you go down from Rockwood to.
Did y'all have your office?
I know.
We're side road. How big? I mean, company needs to prove in that location.
And then it's kind of an explosion.
I really know in this stuff once and I remember now it's in. Just over And then someone that cut it like a chainsaw. This, the bush off, and it wraps it up. All together.
They do have a motion here they can put on there.
Hey, Mike, you know, that one over there. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
I know, you like that, I'm not beating.
This is probably the equipment operator that's going back away. Oh. Probably do. Legally, posted down. 8 o'clock. Yeah, yeah. And see, we never got it moved, and finally made it around back to daylight.
Oh. Updated contract. But she said that with everything else that's gone up, that they asked to do an interim.
Yeah.
And I think what we're talking about, what we do is pay their employees time off. I think last year we were giving them eight. Yes. So how do y'all feel about that? I don't know how much it's gonna put your fee up to. You know, I'm surprised. Well, it may be hard, but I'm gonna tell you, last year we went through 15. Oh,
We went through,
but see, the thing about it, I still think even if we pay them 13 something an hour, you know, people will be coming out of here. Because every time we have to send somebody through test and go through all the paperwork and stuff and our time out. You know.
Yeah, I still think that's, what we got into, we're not in that no more. And that's proven to us in the situation when all their job ended and it was not, they knew that when they were coming in, and that's even your part-time summer labor, you know, it's too much more.
It's there's a lot of water going through there right now. Now, I'm probably going to get, we're probably going to get back on the backside of that bridge. We got some more things.
Question I gotta ask, are we gonna run fishing?
I don't really know yet. I need to get some fish food and go over there and feed them for a few days. And then I have a cast there. I'm gonna throw out like we did before and just look at the side. Now, I did notice down the green mark here, we have found these, they did. But I think we lost some, but I think it's still.
I'm going to go on that dam down there. That's like 79,000.
On that one end.
Yeah, that one in there. Yeah, I'm going to go through that. I think there's a way that I can move money around and between ARP and that general fund. Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna have enough left out of this first draw.
What we really need to, if we actually get another, or if we were to get like a storm or something, it stops and we get 5 or 6 inches of rain, it's gonna blow the off on that. And see what I told Jerry, and then we, what I want to go back with is rock, clear, the gray rock, because they're a lot more sharper, and when you pile them in there, they'll bite together, but, you know, they'll hold up. They ain't like, you know, that limestone, it's got more rounded edges, and it'll roll with it. But the clear rock, they'll lock in.
Wear more.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that today, and I had a question, I see what I don't see it. And we can, my dad was in the fund.
That, some folks are saying it's gonna be $200 a barrel. And then another guy was saying, no, it's gonna be $150. Well, now,
It's right back down to 90 something.
yes, I do know the trucking company put out last week, and what they're getting is that last Thursday was supposed to be steep. And it's supposed to level off, and they don't know how long it's gonna stay where it is now. But they're looking at the end of the year before it starts falling back up.
Well, we really well, like here in the road, we have got like a company here. Well, that's the whole thing about it, is given time and managed correctly, we would be back in good shape.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they're probably gonna be.
I didn't say it was bad. Because I was kind of concerned that it dropped a tree. But now, once we got the FRB, and we got the feed in, we got lights, everything. We were gonna be like close to 20,000, you know, under. But now I got the FRB the other day.
Hey. Can I slip you
We're
something?
looking at about $5,000. Now, the thing about it is, but now, so we don't have to wait. They will actually see it. So it's, the way it's looking, it will be able to believe.
Yes.
That's good.
Huh?
That's good.
All around the mud. Yeah. How you doing? I'm trying to fit that people don't have. On the field.
But I hate to say it, it's $10 a gallon. I'm not gonna walk to work yet. No. May not go out to eat, may not get that ice cream after that happy meal, but I'm not gonna walk.
One of them.
Little bit extra. See, if I set my cruise going from here and don't have to stop. So, you know, they better get knowledge. I'm set about 58. And I'll go on Interstate 77. And go down like that. Now, a whole lot different from town, but each one is different from the gas mileage. You don't have any problems.
Everybody passes you. Yeah, pretty well.
Sure.
Got Frontier and the new one that come up.
Oh, yeah, Unity 5 or what?
All us peons use for a tier. The, real good one is saved for.
We agree.
Oh, well, no, it's the, ones who download pages now from these other papers, or those files are so big. They reserve that for them. Try to tell them that if they fast enough, it carries everything.
Time is now 5 p.m. I'd like to call the regular meeting of Monroeville order. Convocation.
You guys, thanks for this opportunity again to be in your world and your day and the weather and so on and so forth, provide for it. Give us knowledge and judgment in the decisions we make for the city of Monroeville and this, and our constituents we represent. Continue to watch over us. Continue to thank you for giving us the opportunity to get through some of the problems we've had with the virus for the last 2 years. Be with us today. Bless us all. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the work session that's held on March 1st, 2022 at 3:30 p.m. and the regular meeting is held on March 1st, 2022 at 5 p.m. Do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Okay. The next item on the agenda is resolution number 2022-03-002. And is a resolution authorizing and approving execution of a contract with Bancorp South Equipment Finance, a division of Cadence Bank. And this is for the lease of the street sweeper. Do I have a motion to approve the contract for the lease of the street sweeper? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I may have missed the term is how many years?
2 years.
2 years, okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? I think this resolution is going to require a voice vote. Okay. Councilman.
Yes.
Okay. Councilman Ruffin.
Yes.
Councilman Thomas. Councilman Hines.
Yes.
Councilman Polk.
Yes.
Okay. The yes votes have it, unanimous. You have that report. Okay. The next item on the agenda is approval to set a public hearing for April 5th, 2022 at 4:50 p.m. for the Harper Lee birthday celebration with play for the Monroeville alcoholic beverage license for special events. Do I have a motion to approve the motion for the Harper Lee birthday celebration with the alcohol licensed beverage license for special events? Do I have a second? Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval to waive fees associated with the setup of the James Game Fair scheduled to be in Monroeville on April 12th through April 16th. Do I have a motion for the waiver of the fees for the James Game Fair?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? The next item on the agenda is the approval of the Monroeville, Monroe County Chamber of Commerce request to host 5 summer drive-in movies at the old VF Dye House lot on Thursday nights beginning at dusk on June 2nd, 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th. Do I have a motion to approval of the hosting of the movies? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? There being none, all in favor? The next item on the agenda is the approval to waive fees for sales tax and business license food vendors for free to fly Redemption Freedom Festival event benefiting the Mill Place held at Monroe County High School on May 13th, 2022. Do I have a motion to waive the fees for sales tax and business license for the free to fly Redemption Freedom Festival event?
Second.
All right, been properly moved and second. Any questions? There being none, all in favor? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the education assistance policy. I think we gave a copy to everybody to go through it, carry over from last council meeting. Now, do I have a motion for the approval of the education assistance policy?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Any discussion?
There's one item that under other requirements there, it says the course of study must be approved in advance. We got two people in the past that are currently employed that we, the one that we denied, the other one that we haven't approved yet. One, of course, Eric McKenzie was one of them. And then our police chief was denied several years ago for opportunity to get reimbursed for master degree. So I would like us to consider waiving that requirement just for those two employees at one time, since they were denied in the past.
Wasn't that discussed back when we first came on board?
I think we have to go forward from that.
We already, that had been discussed before. Wasn't there some kind of legal issue or something? Back when Joseph was here?
Oh, Joseph.
Yeah, back then, I don't remember. I can't
I
remember.
mean, I just felt like if anybody still currently employed that's been denied should be, have an opportunity to offer that benefit as well.
Well, I think if you read further in there, it says that it has to be budgeted for. And even with the current applicant, even if we go through and approve this policy, the only way that we can do it is that we have to review the curriculum that he's applying for, approve it, and then budget it, and that would take place the next fiscal year.
Right.
So I don't know, unless you amend what we have here, how to go back and make it retroactive.
If that's the curriculum, so I guess it's she's her curriculum that she took, and then the grades that she made on it.
So what you're saying is that we would have to have,
But it would go through you because, of course, it's the department and the, council.
So they could make application and then we could consider.
right, right. They'll have to make application, then we determine,
And then Eric's will go to Chief Black and then.
and then, yeah. That's where they're set up. And then the agreement would have to be signed. With Eric, if it's 2 years, then he would have to stay with us for 2 years of reimbursement. If it's 4 years, then you have to stay 4 years. If you leave for 4-year term, you have to reimburse. So, like I said, there's no provision, but we would have to entertain either one of those individuals policy. Okay. Any further discussion?
Will you make an amendment to the policy?
It
Is that what you're,
now, right?
okay, it is approving it as is right now?
All right. Any further discussion? Okay, there being none, all in favor? Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the HIPAA refund for the community house. Table. And we requested to table that issue. Next item on the agenda is approved to compensate Eric Simon and Brian House for vehicle equipment installs and removal. I think that was $12.50 a piece. That's correct. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the compensation of Eric Simon and Brian House for the vehicle equipment installs and removal? Do I have a second? Okay. Next item on the agenda is. I get too quick, okay, all in favor? All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of Charles Lambert as a firefighter recruit at the rate of $15.18 an hour. At the request of Chief Billy Black. Do I have a motion to approve the new hire of Charles Lambert as a firefighter recruit? Do I have a second? Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? The next item on the agenda is the approval of new hire Brandon Barber as a firefighter 2 at the request of Chief Billy Black at a rate of $18.09 per hour. Do I have a motion to approve the new hire of Brandon Barber? So moved. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Hey, one question on the hire, he is gonna get EMT. And we have in our job description that he has 2 years to get that, so I don't know if there's some probationary thing, whatever we need to do to make sure that's done or documented or whatever.
To get
EMT, yeah, in our job description, you have 2 years to fire it once we hire him. And he's planning on taking it, but I just want to make sure it's documented.
have that note.
That's for Brandon.
It's fine.
Okay. Okay, item K on the agenda is the approval of regular fee equipment operator 1 who has requested to go back to a laborer. Do I have a motion to approve the motion of Mr. Lafitte back to the laborer? Second? Any questions?
Discussion or documenting in the notes that this is at his request.
Right.
Michael, will this thing of it done?
Yeah,
And when will it be effective?
the day.
Today?
Yeah, tomorrow.
I'm seconding it. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. All right. All in favor? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval of Mr. George Dean's probationary period extension until May 31st, 2022. And that will give him an opportunity to acquire certain certifications required by the job description. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the extension of George Dean's probationary period?
So
Do I have a second? Second. Okay. Question? All in favor? Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the outside employment for Miss Melissa Kostapnik. I think in her letter, she stated where it would not interfere with her current job. So, do I have a motion to approve the outside employment of Miss Melissa Kostapnik? Okay, do I have a second? Any questions, discussion? Okay, there being none, all in favor? Okay. I do have one item here to be presented to the council, and that is, a promotion for Eric McKenzie from firefighter engineer at a rate of 19.43 an hour to lieutenant at 19.84 an hour. Do I have a motion to approve the promotion of Mr. Eric McKenzie? Okay, do I have a second? Second. Any discussion?
Vacancy field, he's covered.
And so we, when we went to shifts, we had to have a shift commander or officer, and we never filled that position. So we had two people that was potential for it, but one of them that hasn't met all the requirements. So here, we got finalization today that one of his certifications did meet all the requirements.
All in favor? My last item is for a request for a public hearing to be held April 5th at 4:45 p.m. and for purpose of consideration for tax abatement. Do I have a motion to set a public hearing for 4:45 at for April 5th for the purpose of tax abatement?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay, any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Okay. Anything else that's not?
Did y'all wanna, sustain the motion for, Mr. Ross that came to the president, or we wanna postpone them to the next meeting? Mr. Ross that came to present for president, or do it next meeting?
Yeah, well, let's do that next meeting, yeah. Okay. The other item that I have is I received a bid request for the sale of the 2011 Ford Expedition, that's the white one, for a bid of $5,100. What was the estimate we had on that? $5,000. Okay, so do I have a motion to accept the bid from Red Colors for the 2011 Ford Expedition at $5,100?
He loves it.
Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor? So.
Going once, going twice.
Okay, I think that's all I have. Councilman Brooks?
I'd like to make a motion.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Mayor, the bid was open until April 5th.
April 5th.
What the paper said.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll have to hold it until April 5th and see again what we do. Okay. All right. Do I need a motion to return the bid?
Everybody already knows what it's bid. People hear it. Sure, right. I mean, in the paper, it said, advertising. The only reason I know that is because Ray came over this morning and that's what the paper. And it said, taking bids until April.
April 5th.
April 5th, yeah.
Well, one way to cover it is if we get any other bids. And if we do, then he has the opportunity to rebid. And that's the only fair way to cover it.
I agree.
If you don't have one that's covered, if you do, then he has the opportunity to say more, we have to not do anything.
Okay. All right.
I mean, if they do, then he's got the opportunity, knowing what he did, he might change his mind too. I don't see any other way we can.
All right.
I was gonna make a motion that we, make masks in city buildings optional.
So we have a motion to make mask and city buildings optional. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Councilman Welch? Mr. Pope?
It's been brought up, and it just asking Michael on covering of for George Dean when he's out. We worked out something for summer months.
On water.
Water and
Yeah,
stuff. 'Cause I've been asked that if that's, make sure that's been covered.
that would actually be job, the ground foreman job. If George is out, he would have to do that.
And I noticed y'all have addressed some of the issues that we have. Keep things. I know the water leaks have messed up some of the getting areas and clean back dirty again. Anyway, the sweepers don't take care of that, right? That's all.
Mike,
No,
Chief Black?
No, only thing is, you told us we didn't get the roofing grant, so if we can look for some other resource to fix that leak.
Yeah, we applied for the roofing grant and the roof and the modifications that the city shop we applied for. We did not get the grant. So we're gonna have to go back to what was the alternative plan for the fire department. Chief Armstrong? Ms. Brooks? Rebecca?
No, sir.
Okay. Ms. Hunt?
No, sir.
Ms. Stevens?
The new lady, Miss Amy North, she's doing wonderful, so she's spitting out business lessons right and left, so I know we've had several people call asking why they were late, but she's getting them and they're moving, so I appreciate that very much.
Okay. She here now? She's on.
She's already left.
Okay, all right, well, maybe next council meeting we'll get her in,
Okay.
introduce everybody that hasn't had a chance to meet. Okay, there being no further business for the city council for the city of Monroeville, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting. And go to the council.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
All right. That's it, we'll feed you too. That would get one of them. I guess, there was a phone call, I got to talk back. No, people